Hello everyone, I'm Julie Timmerman, a student at Northeast Iowa Community College in Piasta, and today I'm here to tell you a little bit about the life of the telephone. I did some research and found some photos of the first telephones ever made, and I'll share them with you today along with a little background about each one of them. The first photo is a picture of the first telephone ever made, and it was by Alexander Graham Bell back on March 10th, 1876. He was only 29 years old. The first words that were ever spoken through his new invention were to his assistant, Thomas Watson, in the next room. Bell called Watson and said, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." In 1877, the first phone that was made public was an outdoor telephone, and it only reached for 3 miles. Also nearing the end of 1877, the first phone was recorded being in Wisconsin, and it was for Alfred Gilpin, and he was an Appleton, Wisconsin banker. He ran the phone line from his home to the bank. Several months later, he built a homemade switchboard for up to 25 phones for Appleton.
Yep, I remember that one.
The second photo here passing around is from 1878, and it was when the switchboard method was implemented, and it was so that subscribers could talk to more than just one person that lived only 3 miles away. Also in 1878, in Platteville, Wisconsin, excuse me, it was the next town to be recorded as having at least one telephone. The third photo, in 1892, 16 years after Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he opened the first long-distance line reaching from New York City to Chicago. And there he is making his first long-distance phone call.
We had one like that, one on the wall one time.
Yeah, we had it.
I found a picture of the Wisconsin Telephone Company, and that was in business from 1893 to 1909. You can see the ladies doing a switch service in that photo. I also did some digging and found a copy of the Madison Exchange, and it's dated August 1st, 1900.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's the directory of the Wisconsin Telephone Company in Madison, Wisconsin. The next photo is a picture of the first telephone with a dial. It was out during the years of 1910 to 1920. Also during this time in 1950 was the formal opening of the transcontinental lines, and it connected America's east and west coasts. This time Mr. Bell picked up the phone and called Mr. Watson and said, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." But this time Watson replied that it would take him a week, as he was at the other end of the line in San Francisco and not just in the next room.
Okay.
The next photo is the candlestick phone. It came out with a dial, and it was popular in the 1920s until the 1930s. Candlestick phone with a dial.
I saw this, but I've never talked to them.
After the candlestick phone came out with a dial, they invented the rotary dial phone. This is a phone from the 1940s. Notice the phone cord on this one is just all the cords twined together. In 1951, Western Electric came out with the Model 500. This probably looks a little more like what you would recognize for your telephone. It also has the alphabet and the modular cord. And the next photo is the Model 500 updated. About 24 years later, in 1975, it finally comes out in a different color. Then the 12-button touch-tone model 1500 phone came out in 1980.
I'm not sure which one I got.
2500 was taking forever to improve. In the meantime, during 1968, the Model 2500 was invented and came out as the touch-tone modular cord in a variety of colors. From 1968 until 1972, not much changed with the household phones or the office phones. Inventors were working on creating the first cell phone, and in 1970, picture phones were built, but were unsuccessful. Until computers came along, you couldn't actually see who you were communicating with at the same time. Talk and communicate and see them at the same time. In 1973, the year I was born, the first cell phone was invented. The inventor was Dr. Martin Cooper of the Motorola Company. The phone was called the Motorola Dynatech. It was huge compared to the cell phones that are out today. And the only owners of that phone were business owners, and people used them in emergency situations only.
My goodness, wow.
This next photo, I found a photo of how the cell phones evolved from the huge one to the little ones that everyone has now today.
Still got one of them, huh?
Something else, I never seen one of
We had
those.
one up, we just went to.
In 1976, the digital switch system was used when calling long distance. It was very slow and people were not satisfied with the time it took to get through. So in 1977, fiber optics started being used, which made calls go through a lot faster and people were much happier with their long distance
We don't have
service.
no electricity, ours is. Yeah, well, the electricity.
In the 1980s, the cordless phones came out. A jazz musician named Terry Paul invented the first cordless phone in 1965, but she couldn't market it because it only had a 2-mile range and it interfered with aircraft, the radio system signals with aircraft. She then sold her rights to a manufacturer in 1968 who modified it for practical use. His name is George Swigert. He worked on perfecting the cordless phone, and by 1980, it was
Is that the one that went this
being
way?
manufactured by several companies,
Oh, that
including
one's supposed
Sony.
to go this way, I'm sorry. I'm dying.
In 1982, caller ID was patented. This told you on the screen of your phone who was calling, so if you didn't want to talk to him, you could ignore him,
Goes there.
and the call could just go to your voicemail. It wasn't actually implemented in the United States until 1995.
Looks strong, right?
The last photo I have is called the telephone story. It shows how the phones have evolved since the first one in 1876. In 1983, cell phones started to become more popular, and since 1995, cell phones have pretty much taken over. Many people don't even have a regular home phone anymore. Their main phone is their cell phone, so they can be reached day or night, anywhere, anytime. Home phone lines are generally used now just for everyone's household internet connection. The rest is history. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear about the life of the phone, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.